How you doing? This is Sean McVeigh with Sean's Outdoor Adventures. In this video, I'm going to talk about the difference between the Diamond Edge SB1 and the Diamond Infinite Edge Pro. I get asked this question all the time. Now I'm going to answer. What is the difference between the Diamond Edge SB1 and the Diamond Infinite Edge Pro? Alright, so some of the most obvious and fundamental things that are different is the Infinite Edge Pro has a double yoke system, and a yoke system is the cable splits here and goes from one limb to the cam on the other side. And then this one, the split yoke goes from this limb to the cam on the other side. With the Diamond Edge SB1, there is no yoke system, and the cable goes from one cam to the other. Both cables go from one cam to the other. And so what that does is it slaves the cams together to help them stay in time with each other. And when I was doing the reviews on these, the cam timing went out several times on this bow just by changing the draw length. And so with something like this, where you have cable going from the limbs to the cam, you do have a little more tweaking here and there sometimes in order to keep the cams in time. You need the cams in time for optimal performance. What happens when your cams go out of time is it can impact your arrow flight. You could be shooting really well, and then all of a sudden your arrows are hitting a little different, and it may not be you. It may be that the timing of the cams has gone out a little bit. And another thing is it can make your bow louder. In a hunting situation, that can have an impact. Now, there are little hash marks on the cam itself. Let me put this down for a second. So here is your cam. This is the Infinite Edge Pro. The cable that runs from the cam down, there are little slash marks on either side of the cable. And you can see if that cable lines up in the middle of those little tiny little slash marks, the timing is correct. And you can look at it from both ends, and if it's one's drifting way off, you know your cams are going out of time. Now, I did just air a video on how to tune the Diamond Infinite Edge Pro, and I talked about setting the cam timing. Essentially though, if one cam is coming in contact with the cable first, let's say this cam, the little cable stop is coming around and hitting this cable here, and the one on the other end is about 1/4 of an inch shy and not coming in contact, then the one that's coming in contact, you want to add twist to the cable here. And I usually start and go 1/2 turn increments, and you always turn it clockwise. If you have legit strings and cables, it's going to be clockwise in order to add twist to tighten up and shorten up the cable. So now those are some fundamental differences. The yoke system, however, you might be thinking, oh, I don't like that because of the cam timing thing. Well, one thing that is nice about the yoke system is you can adjust the cam lean of this cam with the yoke system. With this, it's a lot more of a pain. You actually have to take the axle out. Well, there's a little C-clamp here. You take that off, take the axle out, take the shims out. There are actually shims. Let me put this bow down now. There are actually shims between the edge of the limb and where the cam is. And what you'll actually need to do with this bow, if you had to make this kind of adjustment, is swap out the shims to move the cam around. The load that's created by the cable here and the cable slide, that can impact your arrow flight and cause you to not get good left and right arrow flight, even if you have the properly spined arrow. So by shimming the cam one way or another, it changes the load here, which has an impact on how the arrow comes off the bow. Again, that's a little bit more of a challenge. If you don't need to do any of that though, this bow, it's going to stay in tune a little easier for you. Another big difference that I want to point out is the little module that you adjust on each of these for adjusting the draw length. On the Infinite Edge Pro, it's plastic. On the SB1, it's metal. And I rather have metal parts than plastic parts, especially if you're hunting in extreme temperatures, extremely hot, extremely cold. Plastic's going to fail on you much sooner than metal. Now this will hold up in most situations, the plastic will, but I just have a little more confidence with the metal components. So the module there is metal. I prefer that. Another thing that's very clear is this bow is a lot faster than this bow. So at peak weight, this draw length will only go out to 29.5 inches. And at the 29.5 inches, it's shooting right around the advertised speed. This bow will go to 31 inches, but IBO ratings are off of 30 inches. So the IBO rating of this bow, I think, was around 310 or 315, something like that. And at 31 inches, I was only at around somewhere a little less than that. And at 30 inches, I think it was down closer to 300 feet per second. So this was definitely slower than advertised speeds. Both bows are nice. I bought these for my kids. My kids are actually going to be shooting these bows, and I'm sure they'll enjoy these for many years. They're good, complete packages, good for beginners and intermediates. Typically, the more into archery you get, a lot of people want to get something a little more nice, a little nicer. I did a video on the difference between a Bear Cruiser G2 and a $1,000 bow. Those differences apply to these bows as well. So I will put a link for that bow, for that video if you want to check that out. So what is the difference between these and a $1,000 bow? I've already answered that, and you can check out that video. One other thing I will point out is the rest on the SB1 is more. There's a little more metal to it. This one is all plastic, and you can tell it's a little bit cheaper made, and it'll break a little bit easier than this one will. This one just had, the one on the SB1 has a little more adjustability. The sights are the same, the quivers are the same. The limbs are both solid limb bows, and so that's pretty much equivalent. The finish and the riser on the SB1 is a little bit nicer in my opinion. And so there you go, folks. That's the difference between the Diamond Infinite Edge Pro and the Diamond Edge SB1. And in my next video, I'm going to talk about what I like, which bow I think is the best over between these and the Bear Cruiser G2, because I did extensive reviews on them. But also, actually, I'm going to incorporate the Mission Switch and the PSE Stinger, because I did get to shoot those bows at a pro shop. So I'm out of those kind of beginner, intermediate style bows, price point bows, I'm going to tell you which one I think is the best, and I hope you'll stay tuned for that. Oh, and before I forget, I got to give you the scripture verse for this video, because each video, as you've been following, I mention a scripture verse, and I'm giving away. You can pick one of these bows, a brand new one. These are for my kids, but I'll buy you a brand new one, or I will buy you a Matthews Vertex or Matthews Traverse. I'm going to let you pick. Personally, if it was me winning the bow, I would go with the Matthews Vertex. I bought it myself a Traverse because the Vertex doesn't come in my draw length. That's the only reason, but I did like the Vertex better. Anyway, the scripture verse for this video is Luke 24, verse 30 to 32. That's Luke 24, verse 30 to 32. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you will stay tuned to all my videos. And if there's anybody out there you can think of who might like my style of videos, please click the share icon, the share button, and email it to them. Email them a link and ask them to check it out. And if they like it, ask them to consider subscribing. And if they don't, that's fine. But I need your help. I can't do it without you. Will you help me? I hope so. Until next time, take care and God bless.